Hi, and welcome everyone to this special NCBA coffee break episode. I'm your host, Nathan Willner, and today we have a fantastic lineup of guests who participated in NCBA's Hill Day in Washington, D.C. earlier this year. Joining me today are Joy Jackson, Jared Buchanan, Tiffany Smith, and Crystal Duplay. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for taking the time to join us and talk about Hill Day. So, Hill Day was an incredible event where advocates from across the country came together to engage with policymakers and push for meaningful change within our practice area. Today, we'll be diving into your impressions and experiences from that day. So, let's start with some general thoughts. In no particular order, we'll start with Joy. What were your overall impressions of Hill Day? Were there any standout moments or experiences that you'd like to share with our audience?
My overall impression was that it was a very worthwhile way to spend a couple days out of my year. I was really impressed with how seriously our NCBA members took the opportunity. One of the standout moments that I have from Hill Days of 2025 is when we were with one of the representatives meeting with a staff person. He was on his phone texting. I began to wonder whether he was even listening to what we were saying. But next thing you know, it turns out he was texting with his representative and got a confirmation that we would get a co-sponsor on our bill.
Oh, that's pretty impressive. And before we move on to the next question, Joy, why don't you give our audience a little bit just background, where you work, what's your role in NCBA?
So I participated in many different ways with NCBA. In that particular instance, we were with Representative Muser, if I'm saying his name correctly. He did the very next day, he in fact signed on to co-sponsor our bill that we were out there advocating for, amongst other things. I was really impressed again with the fact that we got the bill filed and had a bill number to speak with the different representatives and senators about. Not sure if I answered your question, Nathan, but is there more
Well,
you were wanting to
no,
know?
no, you did, and thank you for bringing that up. But again, you're an attorney, you do creditors' rights, and you're on the board of NCBA. That's sort of what I wanted to get out to our audience, that you're very involved. And the bill that we're talking about is HR 3213, which is the Restoring Court Authority over Litigation Act of 2025. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. So anyway, thank you for those impressions. Jared, how do you feel about the level of engagement from the NCBA attendees? Were there any particular interactions that left a lasting impact on you?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was one of my favorite things about attending, is I looked around, these groups that we were in, and there's so many important people in the industry that all donated 3 to 4 days of their busy schedule to come out and advocate for the industry. And it was like a big team, right? We did it as a team. And at heart, we are competitors, right? But we were all there pitching in whatever way we can to help advocate for the industry as a whole. I love that part of it. It made me feel so happy to be a part of that movement. And that was one of my big takeaways, honestly. I was probably one of the younger people there, and maybe by experience or age, I don't know. But definitely by experience. And so looking around the room, just seeing all of these role models and people I look up to, it was such a good experience for me, and to see the path future for someone like myself. So that's what I really liked and I took away from that part of it. And yeah, I'll introduce myself and Joy. We're partners at a law firm called Faber and Brand. We're in 9 states. We do all different types of collections. But yeah, so it was an awesome experience, and I definitely want to go back.
That's a great insights. And just for our audience that's listening, it, all five of us were working together as a team that day, and it's so that's why everyone's on this call together, because we had such a fantastic results from the work that we did, that I wanted to share it with our audience. So again, thank you everyone for getting on this call. So thank you for those insights, and I think that's true about our group in general. When it comes to advocacy and working for the industry and efficiency, there really are no competitors. We're all
Right.
working in the same direction. In all these years, that is something that has always stood out to me, is how collegial and um, you know if you have a problem with a case or anything like that, we can always talk to each other. People are always happy to help. So it's true. So Tiffany, what do you think was the most effective part of our advocacy efforts on Hill Day? Were there any specific issues or messages that resonated strongly with you?
Well, I mean, I think one of the most effective things is the fact that we were able to give real world experiences to the table. And a lot of the questions that we had from the representatives or from the staff members were about, what we see every day. And since one of the main reasons, behind the bill had to do with the proper regulation and the maybe over-regulation of some litigation activities, I think that it really helped to have attorneys who see this every day, experience what the different things were causing, what the issues that were being caused, the effect of these regulations and what they were doing to our practice in everyday life. So I really
Yeah.
like having opportunity to give examples and to explain to others, what was going on. And I am going to expound too on what Jared was saying. This was my first Hill Day, so it was an incredible event. Everyone did an amazing job. I really was impressed. I mean, I cannot agree more with the collegial atmosphere and just a great group of people. So
Oh, thank you, Tiffany. And I'm really glad to hear that. And I'm hopefully for anyone this was their first foray into advocacy, especially in Washington, you'll come back and you'll tell your colleagues and friends that it really is worthwhile. And it might sound scary, but it's really much more enjoyable than scary, I think.
thanks.
So thank you. Crystal, can you describe a memorable conversation or meeting that you had on Hill Day and what made it stand out to you?
So I'm not going to give one specific example. I am going to say whenever we went into an office and we started explaining why this wasn't, why we wanted this law passed, and then you started providing real world examples, people, the staffers who were attorneys or the staffers who were not attorneys, once you started pointing out some of the discrepancies, some of the potential pitfalls, you saw the light bulbs and they're like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. And just to be able to provide that sort of knowledge and see that sort of transition, like, oh yes, we get it, we understand what you're asking for is reasonable. That was very enjoyable to see.
Absolutely. And Crystal, Tiffany, I wanted to ask you this as well. What firm are you with, and what kind of work do you do? So I will let Crystal answer, and then I'll go back to Tiffany to get that information. Because Crystal, congratulations on a new position, correct?
Yes, I joined Frost Eccles. They are based out of South Carolina. However, I am in Medina, Ohio, which is southwest of Cleveland. We do compliance and defense work. And I am on the board of the NCBA and on the secretary for the Ohio Creditors Attorney Association.
Thank you for that information and for the detailed work you do. And Tiffany, what firm are you with?
I'm with McPhail Sanchez. We're based out of Mobile, Alabama. We practice in 4 different states. We're looking to add a 5th right now. I'm the managing consumer finance litigation attorney, which is basically I manage a lot of our collections work and general just litigation files. We have we're a full creditor rights law firm, so we did collections. We also do a lot of foreclosure and bankruptcy work as well.
Great, thanks for that information. Okay, so we're going to go back to Joy. Let's talk about your personal motivation. Like, what motivated you to participate in Hill Day in the first place? So what was the cause that kind of, pushed you to get to Washington?
Well, I've always been interested in Hill Days. I participated on some of the remote ones during COVID, and I actually used to work in Washington, D.C. I was an intern on the other side of this game at one point in time. Always wanted to come back. I'm very passionate about our industry and what we do. And I also had other members of NCBA like Lori Withrow encouraging me to go and telling me about what a wonderful experience it was for her in the past. And I made a commitment that I was going in person this year.
Well, thank you for, for saying that and that's what the motivating factor was. So, Jared, after going through the process, how did that change your perspective on advocacy in general?
So one of the things that I actually looking back on takeaway as a huge positive is that we met with people from both sides of the aisle, and I did feel like both everyone we met with did, at least when we were there, engage with us, right? And they asked us questions, and that you could tell that they were thinking about the issues that we were presenting. So to say that we weren't just brushed off, right? And that happened both ways. And I really appreciated that, because these people that maybe don't agree with us politically, they took the time to give us our time, listen to us, to ask us questions, and to try to understand where we're coming from. And that's all you can really ask for, right? You know, whatever happens after that, we're going to all make our own decisions. But I did appreciate that, and I thought that was a positive walking away from it, to say, you know, maybe the perception of politics is not the actual reality when you're there. So I thought that was a really positive that I will walk away from this experience with.
Jerry, that's absolutely inspiring to hear that you know that not only did you get the meetings, but your voice was heard, and that's really
Exactly.
all you can really hope for when you're doing this kind of
And
work.
even people asked us tough questions, right? I actually appreciated that, because they were engaged with us and they were thinking about the issues. It wasn't just, oh, let's get my 15 minutes over.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. So Tiffany, what feedback would you give NCBA or the organizers of Hill Day?
Well, I think y'all did an amazing job, Nathan, of course, you in particular. But I really do appreciate all the time that everyone spent just giving us information with the training, with the meetings, preparing us for what we were going into. I mean, I thought it was amazingly well run. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, I thought that everyone did a great job.
Well, thank you. That really means a lot because sometimes you don't know how how all the work comes together and how it looks to the participants. So that really means a lot. Um, Crystal, what advice would you give someone who's attending Hill Day for the very first time?
Wear comfortable shoes.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah.
seriously, it's just do it. The NCBA provides all the information that you're going to need. You're not going into the room by yourself. You're in a group of, I think the smallest group I had was 4 people and the largest was 7. Um, there's someone who's been there before who will usually take the lead for you. Um, and it's a great way to be involved in the legislative process.
Thank you. That's true. And being comfortable and all that walking, you'll definitely get your 10,000 steps in on that day. I'll tell you for sure. So we're getting close to the end of our cup of coffee, so to speak, and we're going to wrap it up with a final question. We'll kind of just start with Joy and go around to everyone to get their final thoughts. What would your hopes for the future of our advocacy efforts be? Where do you see us heading next? Let's start with Joy.
Well, my hope is that we remain consistent and present in DC and in front of our representatives and senators, that our message is heard repetitively and we build upon it each and every year.
That's great. Jared.
Yeah, I would echo that. And I think part of that message I would love to continue to get out is the the level of ethical, professional, respectable attorneys that are in our industry, and that we genuinely care about optimal outcomes for not only our clients, but the consumer and everyone involved. So I'd love to keep getting that message out, because I think it's very important and it's absolutely true. And I know it more and more just meeting all of the people that I met in DC for NCBA.
I couldn't agree more. Tiffany, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I definitely echo that as well. I think the level of engagement from just the real world experiences, actually getting to participate with the legislature and with just different representatives. I mean, I think that makes a big difference in our advocacy efforts, and just having them being able to put a face, a name, an
Yep.
actual personality. This is not just a bunch of people up there, doing things to attack the consumer. We're real, we have high ethical standards, and we're just out there practicing and, on behalf of our clients. And it means a
And
lot to get that opportunity, I think.
yeah, absolutely. And Crystal, you get the last word on this topic.
I'm just going to echo what my colleague said, and I'm going to quote you here, Nathan. Showing up and doing this just continues to prove that we are the adults in the room, and we really do care about being even, not one-upping, and reasonable outcomes.
Thank you, 100%. And just want to thank all of you for not only joining me today, but working with me on Capitol Hill and getting our voice across. And to me, seeing the results immediately, getting another sponsor for our piece of legislation, it's not often that you get immediate gratification like that, but you get in front of the right people and you have the right message. And like we said, real life experiences, that there's real people affected by this. And, we're professionals. We want to be treated like attorneys are in the legal profession. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. Again, thank you so much. I look forward to speaking more with all of you about advocacy. And again, once you're bitten by this bug, trust me, it never goes away. As you can see, where I ended up when I started doing this kind of work years ago. And then on the state level, there's so many opportunities as well. So thank you for all the work there too. So anyway, until next time, to our listeners, stay engaged and keep advocating for change. You can make a difference. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.